Hello. How are you? Today I would like to talk about the first 5 books that I read in 2017. A little late, you could say, but I don't have an excuse. But let's just get on with it. The first book that I'm going to talk about is White Noise by DeLillo. This is my first DeLillo. He's really well known, and I was really excited to read this. From what I know, this is the 1985 winner of the National Book Award. So, awesome. White Noise tells the story of Jack, a professor of Hitler studies at a liberal arts college. Him and his family, I believe his 4th wife, Babette, and their interesting snowflakes, their children, are living their normal mundane lives, you know, going along their day, blah blah blah. When out of nowhere, a toxic chemical cloud known as the airborne toxic event, I think, it comes in and, you know, devours this town, if you would. It doesn't devour the town, but it seeps over the town like mist, and it causes some damage. Also, the toxic event, it was the result of a industrial accident, as you would assume, but just so you know. And that's the book. That's it. So, White Noise. The title, White Noise. This endless background of static and nothingness, almost like death, this nothingness. That's kind of what this book is about. It's about death, the fear of death, all things death. It's really depressing, but it's kind of funny. Not super funny, it's comical. It's witty, and the dialogue between these characters is strange, but it's very entertaining. So for the most part, I did enjoy this book, but there were just times when this book, honestly, it got a bit boring, and I don't know why, because it had all of the right elements to be enjoyable, regardless of the depressing material. It didn't hook with me, and I don't know if it's the writing or what. I cannot place it, but I didn't enjoy this book as I wished I would have. This book was so hyped up for me in a way, or rather I hyped it up for myself because it sounded really great and I thought I would really enjoy it. I mean, it was okay, but it was just a meh book. Not amazing, not terrible, just okay. But I was hoping it would be a lot more special than what it turned out to be for myself. I do want to read more DeLillo, but I don't know what book to read next. So if you have suggestions, leave those in the comments below. Yeah. And then I have The Bear and the Nightingale by Katherine Arden. This is a debut novel from Katherine, and this is an arc that I was sent. I'm sure most people have heard of this by now. This book has blown up and is everywhere. If you haven't already heard about this book, here you go. It's wonderful and you should read it. The Bear and the Nightingale is a beautifully captivating, wonderful fairy tale that takes place in a fantasy medieval version of Russia during winter, mostly in winter, and it is gorgeous. This book is about this girl named Vasilisa, although I think everyone calls her Vasya. When Vasya's father remarries, he brings back a stepmother, and from then on, Vasya's family's way of life is threatened because of it. In the small village where they live, there are creatures of the forest that are there for protection, and when the stepmother refuses to appease them, this darkness slowly gains power and starts to seep into the village and cause trouble and havoc and destruction. And then there's this young priest who shows up out of nowhere and just starts throwing his beliefs at people and telling people that they're believing the wrong things, and it's causing even more trouble and more anger with the forest and the darkness, and things are just not looking good for these people and the creatures, and it's bad. It's very bad, but it's beautiful and it's magical. It's a really good book. If you couldn't tell, I really enjoyed this book. What I love most about this book is that it's so atmospheric and it's so haunting. I don't think this book is in any way particularly unique or does anything new that we haven't seen before, but it, like I said, the atmosphere and the writing, it's captivating. Our main character, she's such a strong-willed, stubborn person, and you just grow to love her. Even the villains in this book, of course you want to hate them, but they're just so well crafted that you can't help but but just want to know more. It's just so well written, and I really love the good versus evil, you know, classic storyline that I just can't get enough of. It's wonderful. Also, being that this book takes place in Russia, from what I know, I think this book pulls loosely from a bunch of different Russian fairy tales that I'd never heard of before. I haven't read these, but I'm quite interested to get into them, and I think there's 12 Months, Moscow, The Sea King's Daughter, Vasilisa the Beautiful, and The Frost, probably more that I can't think of or that I even know of. So I think that that's really great that this was inspired by all of these fairy tales that I'd never heard of before. The moral of the story is I need to read more Russian literature because I don't know anything. I don't know what else to say. The Bear and the Nightingale. And then I have What Lurks Beneath by Ryan Lockwood. First, an attack in the underwater caverns of the Bahamas. Two divers exploring, unaware of the flesh-ripping predator that they never see coming. Soon, the attacks get closer and closer to shore. Now it's up to Valerie, a marine biologist, to identify this new beast and stop it from killing anyone else. Dun dun dun. Doesn't that sound awesome? Right up my alley. It was perfect. It should have been perfect, but it wasn't. And I'm sad about it. To someone looking for a cheesy beach monster read, you might enjoy this, but for me, I found it dreadfully boring. The story itself has everything I would enjoy normally, you know, giant sea monster about to eat everyone, but honestly, what a snooze. I read Ryan Lockwood's other book, Below, and that one was really good. That one was really entertaining, but this one just, no. The writing was probably the worst part of this. It just felt really, I almost want to compare it to cheesy sci-fi creature movies, but I don't know, even sci-fi can be a bit more entertaining than this, and that's saying something. So, I don't know. I think my biggest problem with this is that there was no sense of terror. There was no urgency, there were no stakes. Sure, there were attacks in the beginning, but once this biologist shows up, everything is fine and dandy. No one gets hurt. There's just no fear in this book, and that's what I love about these. The fast-paced adrenaline terror of these books. Also the gore, even though that's not everyone's thing, but just there was no, it wasn't there. Nothing. I wouldn't really recommend it. If you want a good monster book, Meg by Steve Alton. And then I read The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway. This is my third Hemingway, the first being The Old Man and the Sea, the second being the short stories collection, and now this one. The Sun Also Rises is Hemingway's first published novel, I think. This is the story of the post-World War I generation, also I guess as you would refer to as the Lost Generation, told from the point of view of our narrator Jake Barnes. He takes us along with him and a group of his friends during the 1920s. Paris, Pamplona, bullfighting, unrealized love, drinking, lots and lots of drinking, and so much more. This book, damn this book, was really great. Lady Brett Ashley is one of the essential main characters of this. She's the woman all the men want. She's the woman that Jake will drop everything to catch her when she falls. And she falls a lot. Not literally, but you know what I mean. Also, bullfighting. That was a big part of this. Very descriptive. Completely repulsive. I hate bullfighting. I hate it so much. It is so cruel and terrible. I found it really hard to read those parts of this book, but I did anyway because of course it was important to the story. There was meaning behind it. Blah blah blah. The bullfighting felt like a way to view Brett. You know, she's this matador and she's just tearing her way through all of these bulls / men. There's so much more you could talk about, but I kind of want to keep this short. The last couple of lines in this book are what really made this for me, and I want to read them to you. "Oh, Jake," Brett said. "We could have had such a damned good time together." "Yes," I said. "Isn't it pretty to think so?" So sad. They're both talking about different people. He's talking about her, she's talking about some other dude. Ugh, you should read this. So read it. And the last book that I'm going to talk about is Crime and Punishment by, I kind of want to pronounce it the way my best friend pronounces it because it's wonderful. So, Fyodor Dostoevsky. That's not how you pronounce it. Anyway, for those that are unaware, this is Monse's favorite book, and I have this thing where I like to read people's favorite books because I like to do it. So I had to read Sharkbait's favorite book, even though she's super mean to me and cruel all the time. I'm so nice. Why are you so mean to me? Gosh. Anyway, Crime and Punishment. This was first published in 1866, I think, and it's a staple of Russian literature, which I have zero experience with. None at all. Well, now I do, technically, since I read this, so. This edition is translated by Richard Pevere and Larissa Volonsky. I probably mispronounced that, I'm sorry. Crime and Punishment is the story of, well, actually it's told in two parts. The first part is about a man, a penniless ex-student, who murders a pawnbroker for her cash. And during this part, we kind of follow his inner turmoil, I guess. The second part follows his slow demise and destruction, as well as his family's, which he is affecting a lot. This book consumed me for quite a while. I'm not even sure how to talk about this book without sitting here babbling for hours because there's so much to talk about with this, but I'll just go with the main theme that's prevalent in this, and that's nihilism. Our main character in this is without a doubt a nihilist. For most of the novel, he's completely unsentimental, caring nothing about the emotions of others, as well as complete disregard of all social conventions. But by the end of the book, he discovers love, and you know, he gains hope and I think meaning, maybe. And I think, and I hope, that he's no longer stuck in the meaningless and emptiness that is nihilism. So it's a really beautiful book. You should read it if you haven't. And yeah. And those are the first 5 books that I read in 2017. I've read a lot more since then, so I need to film more of these, which I will soon. If you have read any of these books, if you have thoughts and opinions, leave them down below. I would love to talk with all of you guys. I miss you all. I haven't really been filming videos. I apologize. Also, recently I somehow hit 7,000 subscribers, and now I have even more than that, and I just... What? Thank you. I want to hug all of you. I want to give you the biggest hug ever. I say that every time, but I do. I want to hug you all. I hope you guys have a wonderful night or day wherever you are, and I will see you in another video, hopefully soon. Bye.